Hey Ralph, I'm setting up Facebook Live in the group, so I'll be right back. I'm kind of like navigating two screens here, so but it went live, so. You look very ominous in that picture there, Ralph, with the light like coming up on you. Are you being interrogated?
How's that? Is that a little better?
Yes. Well, I'll be excited to see what we can do here for the next one to have a little bit more time to get everything together. But we already have somebody that's here with us early, so that's great.
Awesome.
And I did tag you, so hopefully it went on your timeline for this to share this. But I'm going to go ahead and just put up this. While we wait.
So is there something I need to do to get it on Facebook?
I don't think so. I tagged you, so I'm pretty sure it's on your timeline. I'm guessing. I actually put it in the Moon Gathering, so I guess I'll have to go back and check because I'm learning as I go on this. So.
Okay. So how is my sound coming through the computer? Good?
Yeah, it is. It is good. It's a little echoey, but it's not too bad. So there's somebody that's following on Facebook, which is great, that commented. A Tori Shope. Yeah, this is very exciting since I wasn't able to do it last time. It's like, oh, that's what this looks like. Okay. A Tori Shope. Yeah, this is very exciting. I wasn't able to do it last time. So thank you to all of you who are here early. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes. If you haven't joined our group on Facebook, you can just go to Join Moon Gatherings. That's where we post, say, this recording will be put on a YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see it from there. You'll know about any events that we're doing when the bi-monthly ones are here for the moon. And then also, who are here early, we're going to get started here in about 5 minutes. If you haven't joined our group on Facebook, you can just go to Join Moon Gatherings. That's where we post, say, this recording will be put on YouTube. I'm learning so much here in these 5 minutes. So also too, I did post here on Facebook Live as well as in the group to register to actually get on the webinar. If you're able not to make it, that is a great way because we'll get to the link to the recording sent to you. So. Also, if you're wanting to ask questions, I have to tell you, I'm the person behind the screen here running everything and the technical, and it'll be easier for me to see a question in the webinar. So that's another reason that you want to join through the webinar as well. I'm just giving you a heads up on this, folks. So just to make you aware, again, if you want to know more about what we're going to be doing in the future with the moon gatherings, join our Facebook group, and the quickest and easiest way to do that is joinmoongatherings.com. And then let's see here. Let's go. And also, too, just so that you know about the next gathering, which will be the full moon gathering. That's going to be Monday, February 18th, and same time as tonight. And then also we have the link to register as well. So. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock, and I'm just going to do a quick peek out at our Facebook Live, and now back here. So welcome everybody to the full moon gathering. Actually, new moon. Sorry, I just read full moon. So our new moon gathering, this is going to be bi-monthly. In 2 weeks, of course, will be the full moon gathering. I'm really, really excited to have Ralph Macintyre, who is a evolutionary astrologer as well as an astrocartologist. I may have said that word wrong. He might need to correct me on that. He's going to talk to us about the new moon, and I'm just, after that, we'll hear some things that probably need to shift for us, so I'll just do some belief work. By the way, my name is Brenda Bailey. I am a Theta Healing Master and Instructor with Unlimited Possibilities 101. So I am going to just hush and let Ralph take over from here. Take it away, Ralph.
All right. So I want to start with a question. Are you a spiritual being having a physical experience? So what I want to talk about is the evolutionary intent of the full moon or the new moon. Brenda's got me going on the full moon thing. Yeah. So in evolutionary astrology, I'm sorry, I got to get something straight in here. I got a bit of an echo. So what I want to talk about is the evolutionary. Okay. I'm going to have to get used to the echo. I either got one echo coming in one way or another. So, so in evolutionary astrology, we believe that the astrology chart shows your evolutionary intent, where you're coming from and where you're going. And the north node of the moon is kind of the evolutionary gold standard. It's where we're all going. So what makes that important right now is the north node of the moon, and the north node of the moon in the sky right now is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. So from an evolutionary intent, we're all kind of being asked to slow down and feel. So anytime you have a new moon experience, we're starting new again. The cycle is recycled, it's starting over. So it's about starting new experiences. But from an evolutionary intent, especially from the Uranian Aquarius, which the new moon is in, we're looking at things that are holding us back from the past. So Aquarian energy is about letting go of society's constraints. But from an evolutionary intent, we kind of take it back even further, letting go of past life constraints, letting go of karmic limitations. So in a new moon, you can kind of look where you want to move forward to, but you can also look kind of what is holding you back. So in this new moon cycle, it's important to kind of take the time to get quiet and look inward to see what is actually keeping you from reaching what you truly want to achieve. And the more you focus on releasing that, the more you can then move forward, let going of your karmic blocks and move forward and really unleashing the possibilities of what you are truly capable of. And Aquarius energy is really about bringing in something very uniquely you, regardless of what anyone else thinks. And a lot of times it's even regardless of what you think is right or wrong. Allowing yourself to be weird, allowing yourself to kind of stretch the boundaries of what you even think is normal is kind of what the Aquarian energy is asking of you. And with this cycle that happens, the Aquarian new moon happens once a year. And so it's also the end of the astrological cycle. We have one more sign before we have the astrological new beginning in Aries. And so this new moon process is both a beginning and also an end, meaning it's the beginning of the moon cycle, but it's also the end of the yearly cycle. So it's a good time to kind of reflect back and look at the things that you have achieved, the things that you haven't achieved that you wanted to achieve, and what is holding you back. Because the Aquarian energy is really about setting yourself free and allowing. One of the ways I like to jokingly explain Aquarian energy is that you know you're doing your Aquarian energy when everyone thinks you're crazy. Meaning if they understood what you're talking about, it's really not new and unique. It's like that's the Aquarian. So Aquarian energy is really about stretching what is comfortable for yourself and others. So from an evolutionary perspective, a lot of what holds us back is past life karmic wounds. And so with this new moon cycle, it's a great opportunity to really explore your karmic past, look at the things that are holding you back, and really kind of push yourself to do healing around that. The theta healing is a good way of doing it. I'm really into affirmations. I know Brenda's going to do some work on this later in the webinar, but it's really about actively letting go of these belief systems that no longer work for us. And, you know, a lot of what's going on in society right now, a lot of the unrest is like letting go of the structures that are no longer serving us. But then that leaves us kind of a little bit of a void as far as the structures that are going to work for us in the future. And nature doesn't really like a vacuum. So whenever you let go, new things come in. So in this new moon cycle, I don't know, a lot of people have been having, especially the last couple of days, there's been a lot of astrological energy to kind of instigate this change. So a lot of feelings come up that are not necessarily grounded in this current reality. And so a lot of times you're dealing with past life feelings that are kind of asking to be let loose so that you can move forward. So one of the ways that I like to work with the moon energy is to really kind of ground it in your heart, because the moon is the ruler of the heart. And so it's like, get out of your head and get into your heart, and allow the heart and your feelings to dictate how to move forward. You know, a lot of times in our society, we're very much focused on what's going on in our head, what's right, what's wrong, rather than what we feel, rather how it feels. What are the feelings making us want to do? Are we allowing those feelings to guide us, or are we stuffing them down and letting the rational brain dictate us? So with the Aquarian New Moon, it's a great opportunity to get down into your heart, find out what you really truly feel as real and true, and then reach for it, regardless of whether or not you think you're crazy, whether or not you think all your friends are going to think you're crazy, whether or not your family is going to think you're crazy. It's kind of allowing that heart, that raw heart energy to come out and express in the world. And that's where the truly new comes from. You know, the things that are truly new were thought of as kind of crazy. You know, back in the earliest 19th century, airplanes were considered crazy. So if you were into airplanes, you were very Uranian. You were kind of stretching, you know, the envelope. You know, well, now airplanes, everyone's, you know, it's like if you haven't flown, you're kind of, you know, a little crazy. And so what's happening now is the structures of the old that were much more focused on the physical world are starting to fall apart, and allowing us to really focus on a more emotional based, what it feels like, what's true in our heart, what do we really want out of our lives, not based on what society thinks that is good for us. And that's what this new moon is really asking us to kind of move forward and allow the new feelings to kind of sprout and get ready for the full moon, when the sun is shining on the moon and that emotional expression is out in the world. I hope that's making sense to everyone.
It makes sense to me. So I'm the one who you get to hear talk. So yeah.
Awesome. Should I go on more, or do you want to?
I would say I'd go on for a few more minutes. If you've got something else that you want to add, Ralph, we'd love to hear it.
Certainly. So one of the things that's going on is right now there's a big party in Capricorn in the South Node. And the South Node on the other end of the evolutionary spectrum is where we're coming from, the karma that we're working on collectively. And I've been doing a lot of work around this because Pluto's there and it's opposing the Cancer North Node. And with Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node of the Moon in Capricorn, we're all kind of being asked to really let go of structures that don't serve us. And that's why I started that question. Are you a spiritual being? in having a physical experience. Because if that's what you truly believe, then are your structures setting you up to where you can actually have emotions and be emotional, so to speak? Or are your structures actually keeping you from feeling? Are you focused on what your physical needs are, excluding your emotional needs? Because from an evolutionary perspective, you don't get to take any of the physical realities with you. You only get to take with you the emotional habits and how you, any feelings that are not felt, any things that were from this lifetime that were either so intense you couldn't deal with them in this lifetime, or you suppress them. So the recommendation is to really kind of allow that structure in your life to be set up to where you can actually feel rather than avoid your feelings. And the more you do that, the more you can work on your evolutionary goals in this lifetime and reach your soul's goal. So that's pretty much what I have for the night.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Ralph. So, I was like taking some notes while he was talking, right? I'm sure, I guess we probably should have prefaced saying have paper and pen. So, you can get this. Of course, you'll have the recording as well. But I know if you're like me, it's like there are a few, marked points in what was being said. So again, I use a process, I use a modality called theta healing. And so people can tell me how they think and how they feel, but actually what you create in your life is what you believe. And we hold that at a cellular level. So most things that we hear out there are saying, oh, change how you think and you'll change how you believe, but it's actually the opposite. And that's what theta healing allows you to do. The thing that's most important to know is that I can't do any work unless you actually verbally say yes. So I can't hear anybody but Ralph, right? And so what you're going to want to do is just say yes out loud. Probably if you've got like an animal in the room with you or somebody else, you're going to think you're crazy because they're like, why are they talking to the computer? But you do want to say yes out loud because then the universe, God, whoever you believe in to be your higher power, your brain, everybody conspires to go say, okay, let's do this. Whenever I start working with a new group, I always make sure that they have 3 beliefs in place, and that's I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. So for those of you who haven't had that work, I just need for you to say yes out loud. I'm guessing, Ralph, you've never been on a webinar with me before, so you might want to say yes out loud.
Yes.
And we'll go ahead and change those for you, okay? Great. The reason that I ended up creating this event is because what I noticed in working with my clients was that I would always end up saying to myself, I wonder what's going on with the planets, because it seemed like there was a theme or there was something that was going on. Now myself, I'm not as affected by the moon, but I've been doing this for 13 years and I've done a lot of belief work. But I would also say there's been some heavy stuff going on because I'm feeling it. In fact, I had even said to Ralph, it's been pretty intense. And because he was like saying, I had a pretty intense day today. And I was like, I've had a pretty intense week. And so, thank God we have an astrologer that can kind of point some things out to us and kind of let us know what's going on, because it's definitely been, for sure, pretty significant. And I think, and so I thought it was really kind of interesting how Ralph had said that we were ending, say a year and moving on to a new year, and that we were moving on into having to let go, like what no longer serves us. And I also think it's also that illusion of the physical, right? So when Ralph is saying, when you look at it from an evolutionary point of view, we're saying that it's all going to be about the emotional, then we need to look at the physical and that illusion of us basing what we believe on the physical. So whenever I do a lot of work, and especially if I want it to be very complete, I remove what we call free-floating memories. And that has to do with trauma. It has to do with where the wound began, so to speak. And I always say, we know specifically when certain traumas have occurred in our lives, But for some of these, it's like, well, when was that trauma that had us be more about the physical versus the emotional? That could have been in a past life. That could have been something that we inherited. So just for a double make sure, so to speak, I always just say, let's remove it from the original event. So what I want to do is I want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from letting go. Period, the end. We were talking about letting go of this and letting go of that. It's just about letting go. And then what it feels like in that universal perspective of what letting go is and that it's safe for us. Event that the result is whatever happened that holds us back. So we want to do that. And again, download us from that universal perspective of how to do it differently. Because we just know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. And so if we actually have only lived a life of being held back, then how do we do that differently? And why do we want to go through that learning curve? We don't. So with everything that I do, it's also to clear it, but also to give us something to base that new experience and how we want to do it differently. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we have to continue to carry our karmic wounds. And then what it feels like to live our lives without it. Also, what it feels like to allow ourselves to live with the void. So we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event. This all kind of piggybacks on letting go of that prevents us from living with a void. So we let go of something, we have that void like what Ralph talked about. But again, as he said, it's going to be filled in with something that's better, that serves us better, that's for our highest and best good. So we just need to know how, and it's not like the void's going to be forever, but for most people, they fill it really quickly or they won't let go of the void because they can't trust in that. So we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from letting go and living with the void. And then understanding from that universal perspective and trusting and having the faith of what it feels like to allow the new to come in and that it will happen. We just have to trust. So we have to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us in trusting that natural process of moving forward in our lives. And then, of course, how to do that differently. We want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from being in the world who we are uniquely. And we also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from allowing ourselves to be who we are. And to just also remove the free-floating memories from the original event that will allow us to be set free. So part of that comes in understanding who we are uniquely, allowing ourselves to be who we are in that uniqueness, and being free in it. So we also want to know from that universal perspective of what it feels like to do all of that and that it's safe, how it serves us. And we want to add that just not in this lifetime, but all past and future lifetimes, as well as in every dimension right now that touches us. And then the last thing is to remove, well, I guess I have two more things. To remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligates us to focus on the physical versus the emotional. So then what it feels like to focus on the emotional and that it's safe for us to do that. And that how it serves us. So why would we want to do it and that it's possible? And then the last one is we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that obligates us to stay in our head. So then what it feels like to be out of our head, in our heart, and that it's safe. So I've said a whole lot. And in your mind, I hope you were saying, well, I want that, and that one sounds good, and that one sounds good. So then it's just a yes. So like, would you like all of that I've just talked about? And if you do, just say yes out loud. Okay? Thank you. And I just need to say, just probably this should have been like the disclaimer at the beginning, right? Is that if you're watching on Facebook Live, if you're watching this recording, you're getting this work if you say yes out loud. Stop it after each one when I say it. Re-listen to this recording if you'd like, just to confirm what you got. But again, I'm really excited because it feels like that energetically we are ending an era, so to speak, is what it feels like. And so it's really beautiful to be able to have the information from Ralph, as well as getting some work done so that we can just move forward with it, and not be bogged down by it or held back by it. So Ralph, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
You asking me that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that it was interesting. One of the things that came up when you were talking is this concept of this kind of buck up and don't feel versus being all those times everyone says you're too emotional, or don't take it so personally, or all those things that are kind of designed to get you out of your heart and into your head. Well, for us to have been not listening to that and practicing that, being more present in our heart, it's actually kind of a good time to be alive, because as a planet, we're all being asked to do that, whether you want to or not. So, as it's intense, it's not necessarily comfortable, but it's real. And, don't be afraid of it. Just open your heart up and feel.
Well, and hopefully the work that's been done will allow it to be easier to do that, right? So I'm just going to share the PowerPoint here again so that we can focus on, I need to lower it here a little bit so I can see my slides here. Just a reminder again of the full moon gathering. That's going to be on Monday, February 18th, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is where I'm at, 6 p.m. where Ralph is, Pacific Standard Time there on the West Coast, and of course everything in between and other side of it. And so this is actually the, to register, that's what you want to. So here is like to go to, there's the information once again on the full moon gathering. And then also, here's the information on Ralph. All right. So here is his website, astromaplinks.com. And it's really, Ralph has created, for those of you who saw the bio for the webinar, he has these interactive astrocartography maps. And they're really fun to play with, and it's quite fascinating. So you may want to go check that out on his website. And then also, Ralph, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up so that you tell us a little bit about this webinar that's actually coming up on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, so it's coming up next Saturday. And so the way I do this webinar is I actually work with the people in the webinar's maps. So it's almost like a little mini reading. And I basically show you how to read the astrocartography, or the astrology of location. So simply put, astrocartography is the concept, depending on where you live on the planet, the birth chart influences are changed slightly, or they affect you differently. And so by moving in different spots on the planet, you can enhance or dehance part of your birth chart. And I take a very different viewpoint, because I am very grounded in the evolutionary astrology. And so I look at it from a much more of a soul perspective, and what your soul's north node in your chart and how you're moving towards that, and what's going to be in line with that to help you kind of reach those goals. So it's just fun. It's a fun class. I do it once a year. And yeah, I would recommend it if you're interested in, you can find it on my website.
I would highly recommend it, especially if you've never had any type of dealing with astrocartography, which of course is your chart taking on where are the best places where, you know, for in different parts, in different areas on where you would want to live. And it's fascinating, and Ralph is really good. So to be able to just kind of get a sneak peek for $25 and have it also be part of your chart is great. So if you enjoyed the belief work, I also have a Facebook group, which is Blast Your Belief. So you just simply go to Blast Your Belief to be able to do that. And then once again, if you, like, we'll be sharing all this information in the group. You will also get the YouTube link as far as for this recording. You know, if you have any questions, you want to get a hold of us, come to our group. So join Moon Gatherings as well. So I am going to hit the stop share. And I'm guessing that we're pretty much done. We kind of did this in record time here, but I guess that's what happens when you just have just two people. But I think you got all the information that you needed to do. And once again, thank you so much for taking your time out here on a Monday evening to hear what we had to say here. If you know of anybody that this would be of interest to, please share the information with them as well. And have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.